Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jordan. Regarding environmental protection in China, President Xi Jinping has advocated to leave our descendants an environment featuring blue skies, green lands, and clean waters. During the 2015 China Victory Day parade in Beijing, Beijingers saw the rarest of sights, the reappearance of an extremely blue sky, comparable only to the one seen during the APEC summit 10 months prior. So surprising was the sight of such clear skies that the Chinese people gave them the nicknames of Parade Blue and APEC Blue. Corresponding with the blue sky during the parade, more than 10,000 businesses around Beijing stopped production, and the odd and even license plate rules were applied for vehicles, hugely affecting work and life under the blue sky. Which raises the question, can a blue sky be seen only by interrupting the normal rhythms of life and work in modern China? To the Chinese government, Parade Blue sounds embarrassing. So why did Chinese people give the blue skies of Beijing such strange names, when for most Westerners, blue skies are a common sight? It's because nowadays, in many major Chinese cities, blue skies are a blessing that don't come often. The Chinese authorities have even launched the Blue Sky Index to calculate the total number of blue sky each year. Chinese people are familiar with yet another term, the PM 2.5 index, which is used to calculate the degree of air pollution caused by hazardous particulate matter. But in the West, we rarely hear of such a term. My Chinese friends have complained to me about the worsening environment. It's not often they see the blue skies and white clouds of their childhood. According to an official government report published in 2014, more than 60% of China's underground water in urban areas has been severely polluted. It's easy to exclaim that China created astounding economic growth for 27 straight years, and to be impressed by a GDP rising nearly 7% each year. But the Chinese people are now faced with grave environmental concerns brought on by such rapid economic growth, which begs the question, must economic growth be attained at the price of a clean environment and people's health? Likewise, the United Kingdom had its environmental issues in the 19th century. The thundering steam engines fostered the empire on which the sun never sets, but coal pollution destroyed the happy England, and London became notoriously known as the City of Fog. The toxic smog incidents in 1873, 1880, 1892, and 1952 caused heavy casualties. These miserable stories forced the United Kingdom to make huge changes. 4 years later, the UK's Parliament passed its first Clean Air Act in 1956. Beginning more than 100 years earlier, the UK had already passed a series of legislation known as the Public Health Act to improve public health, and establishing the first modern public health system in the world. With continuous legislation spanning more than a century, the UK effectively treated environmental pollution and urban environmental issues born in the Industrial Revolution. Today, the magnificence of England's natural environment has been restored, and London has thoroughly wiped away its title as the City of Fog. Once notorious for its toxic smog, London now exemplifies successful environmental management, showcasing blue skies and white clouds, that is, when it isn't raining. Seen from a worldwide lens, England is a country typical of pollution first, treatment later. In fact, England in the old days shows traces of modern China. However, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century, most people were unaware of the need for environmental protection. So the question remains, in today's modern society, couldn't scientific progress and concerted government efforts have prevented England's toxic mistake from reoccurring in China? In April of 2014, the Chinese government passed a revised draft of the Environmental Protection Law, which revised the law according to the state of environmental protection. Additionally, the implementation of a series of laws and regulations, such as the Water Pollution Prevention Control Law and the Marine Environment Protection Law, proves China's efforts in environmental protection through law are moving forward. Moreover, the one-vote veto system for the environmental problem in official testing shows the government's hardest line for environmental protection. Currently, the biggest challenge for the Chinese government is how to balance both economic growth and environmental protection. For this, President Xi proposed a green landscape of gold and silver mountains, proving China linked environmental protection with economic transformation, and is trying to score economic growth based on eco-environmental protection. Most recently, perhaps the most noticeable changes have been the sight of more electric cars on the roads in Beijing, and an astonishing amount of solar power generation throughout the country. But these are just the first small steps of a greener and cleaner future. In the past year, when Beijingers twice witnessed rare blue skies created with the effort of the Chinese government, they were amazed by such a display of executive force. Therefore, when President Xi Jinping proposed to leave our descendants green hills and clear waters, the Chinese people absolutely have a reason to expect its realization.